Just
talk about your dope shirt in a second here.
let it rip.
All right. Thank you for tuning into Love Dripping from the Walls. I'm your host, Elizabeth Cunningham, and today I am here with Seth Pearson. So
Hello,
awesome.
friends.
For those of you watching the video, Seth is dancing already. I love it.
This is the only way to start a podcast episode.
Yes, I should have been standing. What am I doing? Sitting down.
That's why I love the standing desk plus Zoom experience is dancing whenever I feel
so
fit.
Great. And you have the lights and everything. Those of you watching the video are getting a treat.
Easy as freaking. Like,
I love it. No, I love that shirt. Yeah. I'm all about that shirt right now. No, it's so awesome. So I'm going to introduce you really quick. So Seth is a love warrior. That is exactly who Seth is, and hosts the podcast Love Amped, a conversational study on how you too can cultivate self-love. He has an online course tentatively named Blast into Self-Love, which is like so you. That's like so your personality is like blast into self-love. Set to launch at the beginning of July and works one-on-one with those that are inspired to cultivate a life where at every moment they'd say, I fully love myself. And before we like super get into today's topic, I really just wanted to highlight that about you, and is that you are so into self-love, and I know that you've had your own journey of self-love and discovering what that is for you and really unlocking who you get to be in the world. And it just seemed like since you discovered that you just blossomed into this. Not that you probably weren't like an amazing, incredible individual before, but I don't know that person before. I know you now. And it's just, who you are in the world. You just bring this energy that's palpable everywhere you go. And I remember the first time that we talked on the phone, like that energy was like so totally there. It was so good. It was
the best. It's like my lunch break at the company I was working at the time, like FaceTiming in the car.
Yeah. I was like, it's been like over an hour. How long is your lunch break? And you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But we just like totally connected in that first conversation. I'm so glad that we got introduced to each other. And then I got to meet you in person. And I'm going to highlight something that happened when we first met in person, which was there was a guy at the tea shop that you were just like totally inspired by.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like,
Jesse Warren.
Yes. Yeah. Like you were just like in awe of this dude. And you were just like, oh, this guy's like so inspiring to me and like all this stuff. And then he like came up and said hi. And, it was just seeing who you are with people and you're just like absolute love for people. And I say this all the time. It's like the amount that you love yourself is the amount that you're able to give and receive love. And so it's no wonder that you just give and receive love so freely, because you're so rooted in your own self-love that you're just free to like give and receive love. And it's this beautiful, amazing, awe-inspiring thing to witness with you.
Dang. Thanks, Elizabeth. I am just waves of just gratitude and positive feelings just kind of pulsing through my whole body right now. And by the way, gang, it's backed by research that like when we love ourselves more, that we're able to give more to others and receive it in better ways. It's like, it's not only just like a concept, it's like there's science behind this, gang. Like, it's great.
Science says so. No, it's so true. It's absolutely true. It's not just like, an insightful thing to say. It's actually a researched and legitimate thing. Yeah. Awesome. And one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you and like have you on my podcast just in general. And then when we were talking about what like specifically we wanted to talk about today, you brought up the conversation of boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I'll just say a little bit about it first, but like I think that sometimes when people think of boundaries, they think of being constrained, that there's something that they can't do, like that if you set boundaries or impose boundaries on yourself and others, that it's actually a hindrance instead of something that's going to amplify, the love that you have. But, as you're going to talk about today and highlight today, it's that having those healthy boundaries is actually what is going to give you freedom and even a larger capacity to love and be loved, is setting those healthy boundaries. Yeah. So, and I would love to know from you what your definition of boundaries is.
And thanks. And I love what you said about it already. Like this, like, yes, it creates and amplifies and sets us free. It's a lot of what I have learned has been taught through my nonviolent communication and boundary teacher, Erin Merrihew. It was just, one of my idols. So a lot of the things that I say, I've learned from her. So it's
okay.
It's kind of like the distance where I can love you fully, and it's like kind of, I think she talks about the kind of the fence analogy. It's like we're not creating walls or like you were talking about like constraints that like hold people down or like don't allow like love to grow. It's that it's a fence. It's a boundary post, and in ways that like we will just not like hurt each other, or potentially cause any negative experiences or negative emotions, that I can be my authentic self with this person because of the boundaries that I create. Like I am more of who I am because of these boundaries. And yeah, it's been hard myself to not think of it in those ways of creating walls or making it so that I make someone not able to do something that normally they would do. It's been hard to not think of it from the sense of almost like codependency, where it's like I want someone to do whatever they want and be themselves.
Right.
Like, but then that's not allowing me to fully be myself as well.
Yeah, and I think that is something that a lot of people really struggle with, is you highlighted it so perfectly, which is, you want your partner to fully be themselves and you don't want to put restraints on them, but at the same time, you want to be able to be yourself, and you want to be able to be fully self-expressed in the relationship, as well. And so it's kind of like this, boundaries are a way to navigate that dance almost.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. If because I know that when I'm not setting boundaries, I'm almost doing this self-sacrificing thing, where I'm just throwing myself just fully at something and just feel like hopefully this person will take care of me, like without me communicating anything at all.
It's like, this is going to be fine. I'm going to say nothing about what I need, and it's going to be fine. It's fine.
it's like the judgment of, shouldn't people know exactly what I want or need at any moment? Shouldn't they know? Because like I know, like, so, and wait, do I actually know? Like, am I
Yeah.
actually aware enough to know what I need or want in any moment?
Yeah, yeah, and also, I mean, and I think that we could like even just in that tiny topic of knowing what you want. I mean, we could delve right down that rabbit hole
Right.
of just that, just knowing what you want, and then communicating what you want is a completely separate topic. But
Mhm.
I think that one of the things that you highlighted is the or said rather is that um, you you go into like a shouldn't people know what I want because you have it like, and I say you meaning everyone, like everyone
Right.
does this. I do this because because since it's something that you want, you just think that it's logical. Like it's logical to want that. It's logical for someone else to fulfill that because if you're thinking it, why shouldn't anybody else be thinking it too?
Mhm.
And so then you don't think that you should communicate it because, well, people should just know because that's logical. When what you don't realize is that it's logical for you based on your needs, your personality, who you are. That's totally logical for you, but not everyone is you.
Mhm.
And so they don't know. They don't know that
Yeah.
that's what you want. And, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so what would be an example of setting boundaries in or maybe a time where setting boundaries didn't you didn't set boundaries, right?
Yeah. I would say I've been through a pretty wild experience with my partner. Um, our relationship began. We're in a polyamorous situation,
Mhm.
and when we started spending time together, she was actually in a monogamous relationship, and we were hanging out as friends,
Mhm.
and that eventually changed, and it opened up, and it was it was kind of my first foray into um, something that there was kind of I saw a lot of potential to develop, like, and continue to develop into like a more like close and intimate relationship. Um, and being the person that was entering into the relationship and uh, just kind of being so understanding, coming from a place of like understanding of like people take time to grow, people make mistakes, like I get it, yes, of course. And at the
Felt
same
like
time,
your mentality at the beginning of the relationship is like super understanding, like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, very very much just like, yeah, I see people are learning, people are growing.
Mhm.
um but first, and so for a lot of it, though, what I didn't realize was that I was like forgetting myself completely in this situation. um and that like ended up like developing like a lot of just like pretty consistent boundary crossing moments where I've now learned that one of my um, fear-based patterns of not setting boundaries is that if I take on enough like hard stuff, then I'll be loved. And
Mm.
that's shown in previous relationships as well. Um, and
What's something really hard that you've taken on?
for me, kind of in this relationship, something that I would take on quite a bit was the her other relationship wasn't going super well,
Mm.
um, and so I would kind of be the emotional support of that, like one of the primary emotional support people for those situations, and I even in those moments, I would experience like kind of like a lot of, I've since then noticed like I get a lot of freeze responses is like my, um, in the terms of like fight, flight, freeze, like
Right.
if someone's overstepped a boundary, um, and I would experience that, uh, but then I would just see like, okay, if I like keep helping in this situation, trying to make it better for her, like try to explain like what could be potentially happening,
Mhm.
then she'll be like, wow, well, Seth is so helpful. Like maybe I'll just like realize that I'm not happy in this situation and leave. Like I thought so many. It's just if I kept doing that, if I kept doing that, then maybe things will change.
Mm.
Of course, over time things did change, but that did not fix that situation, and that did not definitely did not help me at all. Um, it
Yeah,
just
well, especially, well, I mean, I also hear like you're letting your own boundaries be crossed.
yes,
Um, and you're also trying to fix a situation that's not inherently your situation to fix.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that is one of the biggest, like allowing my own boundaries to be crossed. That's something that is just such a unique concept,
Hmm.
and one that I am like always working on now is like what am I doing to allow this boundary to be crossed?
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that self-reflection is ultimately the healthiest place to stand when discovering what the next move to take is, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
what am I doing that is having my boundaries be crossed, right? And in this situation it's not voicing what you need,
Yeah,
you know, and trying to fix a situation that's not yours, and also trying to fix a situation that's not yours in a very like passive way, right?
right.
Like just not being forthcoming about your intentions.
Right, and there was a point, I would say within 2 months of the situation of like stating of my interest of like I'm very interested in being primary partners, and I don't see how this could continue long term. Um,
Mhm.
and so I would mention that, and it it's still like, and I would slowly like stop trying to fix the situation over time,
Mhm.
and just kind of eventually when things got in like I would say when I felt like I have presented like this is who I am like fully, like you have seen who I am, like I have said
Yeah.
that I want a decision to be made, or like that this can't go on. I eventually had to like set the boundary of like, oh, I am doing an ultimatum right now, which is I never thought, I'd like get to, but that was where I was at, and at that point, I gave a month. No, decision was made, and so I had to set the boundary and say, I love you. I want to be with you, and I can't be with you in this scenario. Like this isn't what I want. This is hurting me, and so I left. I left the situation,
Wow.
um, and that
So
was that boundary up until that point.
right, right. Really tough decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, you know, the one that is going to be the healthiest for you,
Mhm.
and setting that boundary for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was
And
able to I was able to gain my voice back at that point and
mm,
take the power. Like I was like letting go of all of my power, and I
mhm.
was like, okay, I need this to be equalized.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like letting go of trying to control the situation
Hmm.
and realizing what you needed and acting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that it and it takes courage. It takes real courage to do that. Anybody who's been in a situation where, and I think that that applies to a majority of people, is that anybody who has been in a situation where you truly do just absolutely love someone, want to be with them, would really, sacrifice a lot for their happiness, ultimately it doesn't work because there's not that energy exchange. Like the energy exchange isn't equal, and
Hmm.
so nobody's going to win, right? Which is what you saw. Just like,
Hmm.
you're trying to do something, you're trying to force an outcome, and then that outcome's not happening, and then you're sacrificing. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. And, when you relinquished control, or like whatever perceived control you thought that you had about the situation, and then really just focused on, what you needed and what was healthy, then it's like, okay, then you have all of that, power back. And when I say power, I mean it separately from control. Like
Right.
like when I say control, I mean like trying to force something, like using force on something. And when I say power, I mean, being empowered,
Hmm.
having your own self-worth, acting in accordance and in alignment with your own values. That's what I mean by power, like difference between power and control.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
Yeah.
there's, at least for myself, for a while, I thought power was a bad thing, uh,
Mhm.
and then I think it was when I started to recognize the positives of power and like the benefits. And then
Mhm.
I found this amazing book, like 48 Laws of Power, or just looking up the 48 Laws of Power, like
Uh-huh.
41s, like without the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is where I saw the areas where I was like giving up my power. I
Uh-huh.
saw areas where I was like really good at generating power for myself.
Mhm.
Just a yeah, big wake up call.
Yeah.
And
48 laws of power. I'm gonna have to. I'll put there's gonna be things that I'm gonna put in the show notes just for our listeners. Like there's some things, you mentioned your mentor earlier, and I'll put them in the show notes in your podcast. So there's gonna be show notes, folks. So look
show
in
notes,
below.
folks.
Show notes, folks.
Folks. Cool. Yeah.
So then what happened? What came out of that situation?
Yeah. So I mean, what I still, very proud of myself how I've handled everything. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, Seth, you are just like
That's great.
just like, oh my gosh, you are just who are you? Like um and so what I loved about that moment is that I I set a boundary of I love you. I know I don't want this, and I want this with you, and I'm open to continuing when this if this is a thing, if this situation happens, if the situation changes. That's what I said,
Mhm.
um, and I think I haven't myself been modeled that many scenarios in
Mhm.
especially romantic relationships where the relationship changes, like that something's not working, and then people communicate that, and like if something can't be a certain way like right now, like then there's just like the healthy like distancing, and maybe loving from afar, or loving as just friends for now without any like
Mhm.
sexual things, like and so I kind of had to figure out the idea of transforming the relationship. So I like thought, okay, what would work for me to make the future like possibility of
Mhm.
being together, um yeah, possible. And so setting the boundary of saying like I don't really want to like hear from you right now, like during this time it's just too hard for me, so let me know if things change. And so there was about 2.5 months apart from that. And I still had notes from her on my dresser. I like a picture of her in my bathroom, like a little on the sill thing. And I would just like go about my life, like still like I would think about her every day. I would think about her like very positively. Of course, I had moments of like extreme grief, and sometimes like anger, but like the anger wasn't about her, it was about the situation. I'd be like, this situation's ridiculous. Like this is silly. Like I'd be at things like in the summer that I would attend. I remember I went to the naked bike ride in Fremont,
nice.
and like that's something that like she like super loves, and I like really connect with the idea of doing naked bike rides, and I like something that I really looked forward to doing with her. And I just went by myself, and I was looking around because
really?
Oh yeah, and I knew she was around, but I didn't see her. But I was like, God, I was like angry. I was just like, this is so weird. Like, God damn, it's like, Becca, we could be doing this right now. Like, why? Like, what do you do? And like, I ran into my friends later, and she's friends with my friends, and I like hung out with them, and I was like, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to a different thing, just so you know. And then like, I hear like they hung out later, and I'm just like, God, it's like, what is this? Like, come on. And then I talk. So they like the kind of the break happens at the beginning of June, and then it's at the end of August, middle of August, that I hear from one of her friends that they had broken up a week earlier. And I was like, whoa, this actually happened. This is insane. This is nuts. Damn. And so it was like a Friday. It was a Friday at Shambhala Music Festival. And I did MDMA on Sunday night. Okay. And I do MDMA about every 3 or 4 months as this kind of processing of the last recent times, and times to reflect and like give myself a really extreme like boost of compassion to whatever's happened to me. And it's a very, for those that haven't done it, very beautiful experience. And I'm with like my dad, I'm with my friends, like we're all at this beautiful festival. And I remember that I do video diaries when I'm on it. It's like one of my favorite things to do, because I talk to myself. I like talk to myself in the most ultimate compassionate way possible.
What? I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to look up your video diary. Well, because I saw the first video that you did, but I don't think I've seen your video diaries.
Okay, yeah. Yes, not all those are on the internet just yet, but they're like, I fully plan on posting them because they are incredible. And I'm all about MDMA, therapy, and all that stuff. So, and I made this video of just like, Seth, of course you want to like contact her, like you love this woman, like what, like, yes, like it's okay of the fact of how things have gone, and like connecting back like after that, like duh, like you would regret it, you wouldn't, like everything it's just pointing to yes. And so like we had like this shared note, like on iOS you can do like a collaborative note, kind of real-time situation. And so we had one of those, and I like wrote her this like long thing. It was it was like 2 paragraphs or something like that. Of just being like I get it, like the best thing that I could have done to like love you like during this time was to be a part, to allow yourself to like have this experience, like go through all of this, learn lessons. I built up a lot of resilience of just the fact of like keeping and maintaining that boundary, like all that good stuff. And it's and yeah, I mean, since then it's just been the beautiful roller coaster continues. Like it's like we then connected back up at the beginning of September. And there's been like so much healing that's done on both of our ends from that since then. And it's still like there's just like any like really like just intense like beautiful relationship, so much to like work through and learn, and like that we've taught each other so much. Just been super rewarding. And I like really owe being where we are right now to the fact of like doing that self work, like finding boundaries that work for both of us, and being as open as possible about these things, especially with continuing the polyamory journey.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
I said, oh yeah, like continuing the polyamory
Yes.
journey.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because we both think it's really important, like that's how we continue.
Awesome. So what are some of the boundaries that you have set in your relationships, or what are like the communicated boundaries that you both have set in your relationship that have it work so well?
Yeah, I think because by default we want to push ourselves in this realm, and instead of kind of working from kind of more boundaries and rules around, I guess, specifics in the realm of um like ethical non-monogamy, kind of having it be more like, oh, like very open, and then like find things that are like, oh, that didn't feel good, like, okay, let's look at that, like, okay, that didn't feel good, let's look at that. So like kind of more like morphing it from openness to a beautiful cluster cloud thing. I don't know. It's kind of like it's starting small, like a clown's nose, and then ballooning out from there.
Awesome. Yeah, like what's that?
Or I would just say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's like, can you think of a specific boundary that either you or her have set, or that something that you've agreed on?
Well, definitely, safe sex. That's a good one.
Dude, safe sex is a rockin' boundary.
That's a rockin' boundary.
That is a rockin' boundary. It's like, yeah, that's definitely of all of if you are in a relationship that is open in any way, and y'all are not practicing safe sex, cut that shit out right now. Like, there are very few things where I'm like fast and hard opinion about. That is one of them. Safe sex. Don't love people by protecting them. Love yourself by protecting yourself. Love your partner by protecting your partner. Yeah. Safe sex.
Hell yeah. Love that.
Cool.
And I think like the main other thing is like letting each other know when something is like a relationship has turned kind of from like lust to love, or like kind of when just like the feelings change around someone, where something gets more intense, or something starts to ebb and flow, it starts to separate, or when something has ended, or when something's begun. It's kind of just like I think of it almost as like keeping up with someone, just all the people in someone's lives, like, hey, how's this thing going? Like, how did that go? I know you had a date with this person. Like, how did that go? It's kind of, it's just, I think it's just not hiding intentions or feelings. I think that's the root.
Yeah, so just being open about where you stand. Yeah, and being open about where you stand in your other relationships, right?
Yeah.
Having the space in your relationship to maintain that communication, because I know that, especially, yeah, I just know that that's really difficult sometimes to maintain that communication of openness, especially when it comes to feelings, because some of the times when you're communicating feelings, you don't know how your partner is going to react to those feelings, like especially if you're communicating that you have stronger feelings now for another person than you did before, like there's fear that your partner is going to feel threatened, or whatever that is that holds you back from that communication. And so I think that it's really great to have that firm communication beforehand, like, hey, I want to know. It's like that permission, like permission to share this is a safe space. I want to know, where you're at in your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's not the case for everyone, right? Actually, Brandy is the first person that I have been with in polyamory where it's not that she doesn't care about my other relationships, but she is not a request to hear about like how they're going.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she cares that I'm in relationships with good people, and she wants to know that like who I'm dating is worthy of me, in her words.
I love that.
In her words.
Love that.
Yeah, she's like, I want to know, that's one of her things, like I want to know that the person that you're dating or sleeping with or in conversation with is worthy of you, and she will let me know when that isn't the case. Like she's like, I'm never going to tell you what to do. She's like, I'm never going to tell you what to do if you have feelings for someone and you want to, have whatever relationship you want to have with them. She's like, I'm never going to tell you no. She's like, but I will always tell you if I think someone isn't worthy of you, because you deserve people who are worthy of you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's like, wow, that's like come up for me before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a total thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's definitely been people where she's like, again, not going to tell you what to do, but in my opinion, this person is just not up to snuff. She's like, Elizabeth, you're amazing. She's like, Elizabeth, you're amazing. You're a goddess, and you should be with people who are among the gods and goddesses. That's who you should be with.
It's really speaking to me right now. Because that's something that's come up for me before. Where I'm like, well, I don't care that whatever you're doing with them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why like lower? Like, why lower yourself? Go down to meet someone down there, like.
Right. Yeah, and whether that be at like a self-development level, whether that be whatever that is,
Whatever that is,
whatever it is, like whatever category that may be in, or multiple categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I've had a similar thing with past relationships where my I've never. Actually, that's not true. That isn't true. There was one time where I specifically requested that one of my partners not continue sleeping with someone, because I legitimately was worried for the mental health and well-being and safety of that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, look, you're going to do whatever you're going to do, but this is what I see happening, and I want you to know that I see this. Because, and like my background is, I worked at a domestic violence center for 3 years, and my background is in like gender studies and like political gender studies and stuff like that. And so like I'm trained to see like potential abusive situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, this has so many red flags. Please. Yeah. I'm like, I'm requesting that you don't sleep with them. you're going to or you're not going to, but I'm requesting that you don't.
Right, of course. Important with the request that they're not demands.
Yeah. Because you can say yes or no to a request, but then at the same light, like if I'm in a relationship with someone where, and this kind of goes back to what you were speaking to, we're going to make a full loop. This kind of goes back to what you were speaking to with your story, which is, you know, I've also been in situations where I've made a request of someone. I'm like, hey, I don't see that this situation is healthy, because when you're in a polyamorous relationship, all of your relationships are connected. You know, the health of, if you have one, you know, relationship that isn't healthy, it affects the health of the other relationships, because it affects who you get to be and show up as. And there was a time where I was with someone, thanks Seth, where I was with someone where the health of one of the relationships from one of my partners got to be so tumultuous that I couldn't just sit, you know, on the sidelines and watch just the chaos happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was just like, and so it was kind of one of those things where it's like I voiced what I saw happening. I voiced how it was for me. I did make a request, although it was kind of one of those requests where it's like I kind of knew what the answer was already, just given, you know, where they were at. Yeah. And I set a boundary. I was like, look, I can't be with you anymore if this is what's going on, you know, in this other relationship. I was like, I can't be affiliated like with that. Like it's not good for my own like mental and emotional health, you know? And yeah. And so I really do. I really get what you're saying, where it's just like, look, this is my boundary. You know, this doesn't work for me. And then you have like I want to be with you, you know, I love you, I want to be with you, and I can't be here under these circumstances.
Yeah. Wow. And good on you again for doing that.
Yeah, like, good on you.
Good on us. And good on us. Yes.
Yes, good on us for knowing where the boundaries are for our own mental and emotional health. Yeah. And, you know, then ultimately what it led to was, you know, like whenever you say no to something, other things always open up, right? It's like that age-old saying.
Yes to more. Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's the age-old saying. It's like when, you know, you close the door, a window opens. Or if you're a religious person, when God closes the door, he opens a window, you know, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is true. It's a saying for a reason.
It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing that I learned in boundary setting classes, that is exactly what happens. It's like you can think about even before the boundary is set. It's like, what are you potentially saying no to, and what are you going to say yes to because of this?
Right.
And
right.
And kind of going back to just quickly of like what, at least in the realm of polyamory, like I'm kind of a similar way of like, it's not what someone does with someone else. It's like, it's the hiding of like other information, like the hiding of reasonings behind things that aren't communicated. Those have been the hardest moments for me. Like, and does that resonate with you?
Like kind of.
Or let's see, when we talked, when we got tea for the first time.
Yes.
You mentioned along the lines of, was it your marriage, that there was things hidden?
Yeah.
And that you were hid from other people. Is that right?
Yeah, at one point in our relationship, it was like, yeah, I was hid from other people, and he also he had also purposefully withheld information from me. And I think it was like the purposefulness.
Yeah, right.
Like purposefully not telling you something. I mean, that's omitting the truth, right? Is the same as a lie to me. That to me, omitting the truth is the same as a lie because there's the same intent behind it. There's the same hiding. There's the same deception behind it. You know, a non-action is still an action.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like want to like bring that up that it's like those are the that's another boundary right there. It's like don't withhold truths. Like
yeah, absolutely. And it just in the same realm of polyamory is one of my and this is one of my rules. Like it's not negotiable. This is a non-negotiable for me. That's how I define rules. Rules is like it's not talked about. It's like, nope, this is what's going to happen, and if you're not cool with it, then I'm not the person that you want to be with, right?
Right.
And so a rule that I have is no hiding. Like you can't be in a relationship with me and then tell people that I'm like just a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool. Like
right.
If you're not at your own place of self-development in yourself, you know, that you can't be honest with the people in your life about who you are and what your relationships are, I'm not the girl that you are supposed to be with then.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Good on you for having non-negotiables like that.
But yeah, that's like a hard and fast one for me. It's like, no, you have to be in a place with yourself where you are available and open and able to freely share who you are with everyone.
Beautiful. Yeah. What are some of your other non-negotiables?
So my non-negotiables, definitely around safe sex, for sure. You know, have to have safe sex with people. Have to share about. I mean, and you don't have to like, you know, now we're dating. You have to call every single person you know and tell them that we're dating. Now, like that's not.
That's really funny.
That's not what I mean.
Yes. Call your maintenance guy.
Right. Let your apartment complex know, you know, like
blast if you have an email list of whatever your business is, you know, just like let it rip.
Right, exactly. No. That's not what I mean. I mean that if our relationship, it's almost like even if our relationship gets brought up, that you don't lie about it, you know, and you don't avoid bringing the relationship up, right? Like with your really close friends or with your family, like it would just be really weird that if I were going to like go out and hang out with your friends, that they wouldn't know that we're dating. Like that would be so odd.
And like you potentially like are joining in on like a group outing or something like that, and they're like, "Whoa, who are you?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm Elizabeth," and they're like, "Oh, how do you know so and so?" And then you're like, "What's happening?
What's going on? Why does no one know who I am?"
What is this?
But I've definitely put people in awkward situations before because they haven't shared. And so like not very often because usually I'm pretty upfront about this, but yeah, there's definitely been on more than one occasion where it's like, oh yeah, I'm like a girlfriend or whatever, you know, term we've decided on. And they're like, oh, what?
Oh.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, which brings me to the why. Also there's the obvious why of that is like, you know, you don't want to be hidden. You know, nobody wants to be hidden. And then the other thing is that it's you, like that person who's sharing about the relationship, taking responsibility for their life and the relationships that they have. It's not my responsibility to tell your friends and family that I'm dating you. Like, that's your
Right.
life. This is your relationship. These are your people. It's your responsibility to tell them that that's what's up. You know, it shouldn't be left to me in some awkward family situation to like bring it to your family that we're dating.
Right. Wow. Elizabeth, you want to know something crazy?
Yes. Lay it on me.
This is raw. This is gonna be great for the podcasters out there. They're gonna love this.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
They're gonna love this.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Y'all are gonna love this.
For anyone who's just listening to this, please watch it on YouTube.
You're ready. Okay, and there's no shame behind any of this, what I'm talking about.
Okay, what's up?
No shame.
I'm literally bringing my face closer to the camera.
I am, besides sister-in-law, hidden from the family.
Oh, no. Well, Seth, we couldn't date. We're not a match in that way. So why are you? A lot of people are. Why are you hidden from your family?
Not from my family. Her family.
Her family. Oh, okay.
We could still date, Elizabeth. Okay.
We can still date.
I will tell my family all about you.
So sweet.
Yes.
You got to pass Brandy's worthy test, though. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see where I stack up if I go like a low 90s or like a
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know so if it's her family, then I don't know if, you know, you don't have to share about it because that is her family, like I just say, like, you know, was just saying her responsibility. So if you don't want to share, you don't have to.
Oh, I mean, I guess the reason it's just funny that we're talking about it is like, well, technically I am him in a way.
No.
I am referred to my good friend Seth, you know, kind of tough, of course. Just, you know, it's more of the realm of she's gotten a lot of ridicule from the family about like dating people and
dating what people?
Just dating people.
Just in general, sorry.
Like the kind of the family like doesn't it's kind of under the impression that the family doesn't want to meet someone unless it's like, all right, like Becca, you know for sure like this is the one or something like that. Like they just it seems like the repercussions, like kind of that she's gotten a lot of shame from when a relationship doesn't work out, kind of a thing. And so that's kind of the reason at the moment about that. And so, you know, I have conflicted feelings about that.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm very understanding of how family dynamics are strange and unique and like
I understand that. And I understand like you being understanding about it. And isn't that what got you in trouble in the first place?
Ooh, tell me.
And like being really understanding.
Yes.
And not clearly communicating your boundaries.
Well, it doesn't like, it's like before the thing was definitely actively hurting me. Or at least in the case of that, this is potentially hurting me is like at a lower threshold where it's like, but then is that ignoring it? I don't want to ignore something. Or
is that being desensitized to it because it's something that's been going on?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could be totally desensitized to it. I'm aware of that. Like I would, I definitely know that there's been moments where kind of friends that I've met in the past year around the time of like the holiday season, and I would go over to some of my like kind of newer friends' places and be like met by the like introduce the oh Seth, like oh this is my friend Seth that I met, like we've been doing this thing for the last year, like blah blah blah. And they're like, Seth, I hear so many great things about you. You seem like a great kid. Like like just all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kind of go like, oh, and I like can't actively do like like I mean, not that I need to meet the parents like this holiday, like they don't live in Seattle, but it's still just like they don't know.
Yeah, but that's not the nature of your relationship.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing that I was pointing to, right? And obviously you've just heard my opinion about that and the boundary that I have about that. And yeah, I mean, what do I want to say about that? What I want to say is that if you were coaching yourself.
Yes. Oh, I love this.
If you were
Elizabeth,
your own,
this is why we do this.
right?
We do this.
Hello. This is why you come on my can't get unscathed from my podcast, okay? You haven't listened to any episodes, then you don't know, but you don't come out of my podcast unscathed, okay?
I love this. I love being so vulnerable and like slightly, I don't feel embarrassed right now. I just feel very vulnerable and I love it. I love it. Like,
okay, great.
I love that this is going out into the world.
Great. Embrace
the
vulnerability. So, but yeah, if you were your own coach, like say somebody came to you and they said exactly what you just said. They said, I'm hidden from my girlfriend's family. She doesn't share about me when we go to family stuff. She just introduces me as a friend, and then but she has a lot of this stuff with her family, and it's just a lot of like shame and guilt, and but I mean it's fine. What would you tell your coach E? Where would you go with that?
If I would know them the way that I know myself, I would ask, would someone that's worthy allow that to continue in a relationship?
And then if you were answering yourself, what would you say? Yeah. You're the self-love guy, Seth. You're the you're worth it guy. And having such an important area of your life, have you not be worth it just doesn't, it's not who you are. It's not what you stand for other people.
So good. Like break the fourth wall. This is so awesome. I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, you're the best. Yeah, no, I get it. I see where I have to change myself. I see where I have to change my actions. No, it's great. I know. I get it.
But that's where I was going with that is like, what do you see to do? What conversations do you see to have? What's next? What's next for you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, for sure. I mean, so yeah, okay, this is great. It's like, this is, it's a conversation. It's like, okay, I'm going to be like, I'm going to mention, the desensitization thing, that's like, oh, just like, this has just been like under the radar, like not the biggest thing to me, of course. And like, it's time. Like, it's time. And, see how she feels about that. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, I guess like kind of the request is like when like talking about me to your family, like letting them know that we're dating, like that's all. That's all, because I mean, the other stories that she tells about me, like, they'll speak for themselves, like those, oh yeah, it's that friend, like, it's like, made one of my dreams come true. Oh yeah, I'm like, oh, I did this thing. It was like amazing, so fun. Oh, things co-created with Seth. Like we just do awesome stuff together. Like it's like that stuff. I don't need to be talked up. Like my actions and what I do in my life speak for themselves. So yeah, it's be like, and yes, we are romantic partners. Like it's simple. It's like,
yeah. And you want to be seen and you want to be witnessed in that way by her family, because
right.
this is a woman that you love and she's really important to you. And when you love someone, it's important that you're recognized for that love,
Yeah.
and that it can be fully expressed. I get her concern. I really do. I really get her concern. I asked for a divorce, a couple months after our huge wedding ceremony. And then I fell in love with Brandy, a couple months after I asked for a divorce.
Mm.
Within 6 months of my wedding ceremony, I was completely in love with a different person. And I had no idea that that was going to happen in my life. It was not a planned thing for me at all. And there was a ton of guilt and shame in sharing with my family and letting people down, and the judgment that you might receive from people. Like, I like using myself as an example, I completely understand where she's coming from. And I also knew that I was just so completely in love with Brandy, and there was no way that I could, hide her from the people that I love, because in sharing who we are, our relationship gets to be even more expressed in the world, because you're known, you're known. The relationship is known.
Right.
There's something completely profound, and you can even go to an individual level too, where it's just like, if someone knew you as, a podcaster, but they didn't know you as a coach, you wouldn't be fully known to that person. It's not a bad thing. It's not bad that you're not known, by whoever as a podcaster and not a coach, but you're not fully known. And it's the same, and that's part of that self-love, is being fully known, fully self-expressed, unconstrained, completely free, and still being sensitive to other people's feelings. But you can't be sensitive to other people's feelings and sacrifice for your own life and your own happiness.
Right. Damn. I mean, besides Elizabeth, you just can just throw things down as with the wisdom stick. Just shatters the earth underneath it.
I'm a motherfucking sorceress, yo. Okay.
You are a sorceress. It's just like, God, to the winds above and below. Truth is upon us.
That's fucking right. All of those negative feelings about yourself, I'm like fucking Gandalf, okay? You shall not pass.
You shall now pass negative feelings, they going away. I am so blown away that we got to this point and we're talking about this. This is so sick. Never, it's just so great. It's like, duh. Yeah. Like the moment, like just flat rewind November 2018, like my dad and his like like new like kind of girlfriend at the time, and like a bunch of my friends were at like a Thai restaurant on Capitol Hill, and she hits me up like super out of the blue, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I am on Capitol Hill, and yeah, like my dad and I like and my friends were getting food. Come on and meet us, like come on down. Hey guys, Becca's here. And like, oh yeah, just awesome new friend, like just like start hanging out, and this is when we were just friends and stuff. Oh yeah, come on in. And then like, oh, of course, like I mean, of course, it's just my dad, and I'm like an only child, like so you know, like of course, like they've hung out, like they know each other, like yeah, it's like done. Like I'm very inviting, and not to do like a comparison thing. Again, this is not shaming. There's no shame. There's no shame. It's just like it is part of that expression of, I see it. I see what you're saying. Like I'm experiencing the like, whoa, yeah, you're right. Like holy fuck, like that's right. Whoa, like oh my god, yes. Why do people know? Like whoa, it's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
And in my experience, people just want you to be happy. You know, your family has the opinions that they have, and certainly my family has the opinions that they have. But they have been nothing but supportive and welcoming of, you know, Brandy's the first person who I've dated who is not a man. Or at least like in a committed fashion. Like, you know, bring you home for Thanksgiving fashion.
Yeah, right.
And you know, my family's from the Midwest, and my dad's side of family is Irish Catholic, and you know, I was terrified, to be honest, terrified of, you know, but you know, your perceptions of, and this is for her obviously, but it's just your perceptions of what might happen aren't true. You know, they're not true because they're not happening right now. You know, you might think that they're true, or you might think based off of your past experiences or who you know people as that it could be true, but it's unnecessarily true. You know, our fears are way worse than reality. And I would say for you, just to like add my little cherry on top here, is just speaking from, when you speak to her, speaking from commitment, you know, not speaking from a place of like guilt or shame, which I don't think that you would ever do that, you know.
Not about it. I'm not about that.
No, I don't think that you would ever do that. But just for listeners who are in, because this is a situation that people find themselves in, you know, and just not speaking from a place of guilt or shame or, you know, hurt or anger, but speaking from a place of compassion, you know, of understanding, but also speaking from a place of like what's possible in your relationship, not only between you and her, but like what's possible between her and her family when she's honest to them. You know, when she can really create those bonds of trust between those people. Right. You know, and just getting like where she's at, like really getting like, yeah, there's a lot of fear there. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, and I don't know what'll come of that situation, but like I'm now one to steer away from fun conversations.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear, you know, how it goes. And I can't wait to hear, you know, because that's the thing is this whole podcast, you've been talking about, you know, the love that you and her share and the relationship that you've created and the lines of communication that you've created. You know, you've already done so much work in this relationship. But as we know, as coaches, you know, the work is never done. You're not done until you're dead. Like, you're not done growing until you're dead. You're not done communicating until you're dead. You're not done feeling or experiencing or whatever. You know, you're still alive, so you're not done yet.
Mhm.
And this is just like, this is actually exciting. Like, this is an exciting.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no like me going like, oh no, I have to like deal with like shoot and like, oh, people know me and like this is
Yeah.
record like, oh no, people are gonna like. I'm just like, this is great. Like this is like
Yeah.
an easy one. Like in the fact of like, duh, it's obvious. Like, oh, okay, yes, Seth. It's not like something like, well, I could think about it like this, like maybe that. No, it's done deal. Like I coached myself. You did it.
You
like,
did. You coached yourself. I love it. I love it. I can't. And it also like just speaks to what I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, to how amazing you are, to how much you just like love yourself. Like you just exude like love and awe, and it's just palpable around you. Like you are love dripping from the walls. This is what I mean. Like what I mean when I created this podcast and was like love dripping from the walls. Yes, that's what I mean, is like that just palpable love in your life that is you. Yeah. Yes.
Cuddle in the morning.
Oh my God.
Cuddle in the morning. Cuddle in the morning.
Yes, everyone who's listening to this, please go watch the YouTube video of this. Please, like I beg you.
Love gets us all, What a wild experience. This is the best. You're a genius. You know what you're doing, and I love it. I love being a part of it.
All right, you're so welcome. Well, okay, anything else that you want to say about our topic of boundaries? Anything else?
Just that Aaron Mary Hughes' Boundaries Without Backlash program is incredible.
Aaron Hughes' Boundaries Without Backlash program, and I will put that in the show notes so that people can research it and or register on their own accord.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
Practice them. You are worthy of boundaries.
You are so fucking worthy. Just like bananas how worthy you are. And then I'm going to end with plugging you, giving you a plug. Please. Got my notes here. So the bi-weekly Love Amped Circles. And you said that there's an event on May 21st. What's that all about? Okay, May 21st is one of the Love Amped Circles coming up. And so that's on, if you check out Love Amped on Facebook, the Facebook page, that's where all the events are. I'll be figuring out a way to post them on my website as well. And then there's also the event on June 6th for Expansion Festival, which is this festival put on by a lot of this community in Seattle. A lot of amazing people. Shout outs to Aaron Mayer, he's also going to be there. My movement teacher, David Galena, my friend RC had a workshop there. And I'm just so excited because it's going to be like a really big overview of some of the most important tools that I've learned in the realm of self-love, and those that are not as aware of the topic. And well, what is Seth talking about? This self-love thing? I don't get it. Like, I'll be going through that as well. Awesome. And then you have your Instagram, and I'm going to put all this in the show notes. Yes. Show notes. So your Instagram is Love Amped Seth, and your website is loveamp.com. And I'm also going to put in the link that if you want to schedule an initial conversation with Seth for coaching. So please, if you would like to do that, then please do that with Seth. Yay. Awesome. So fun. And like, that online course is coming up, and I was recording it moments before like this podcast. Like this whole
like next 2 weeks is just recording all this content. Like I can't wait to share it to the world. Like, so keep your eyes peeled on that.
Nice. I am really excited. I am excited for everything that you're up to. I'm excited that we are both love warriors in the world. Did I tell you that I'm building a love empire? Did I tell you that?
You told me that, and I love it. You are doing it.
You are one of my warriors. You are my love warrior in my love empire, and I'm so about it. I'm just like so freaking pumped about it that I can't even stand it. And we are doing it together.
We're doing it together.
I know, we totally are, because we can't do it by ourselves. That's not how love works. It's not how love works.
Nope. Love finds a way. Love keeps growing.
Yep.
Unstoppable. It's unstoppable.
I need to get a stand-up desk, apparently, because I'm so jealous of your friggin' dance moves.
Yeah, see, it's the only way to record a podcast.
Is to dance. That's right. The only way to make an audio recording is to dance.
It's been decided. Elizabeth, I can't thank you enough. This has been too much fun. This is what we call too much fun.
This is it. This is what it is. Yep.
Too much.
I love you to pieces.
Love you to bits.
You're amazing. And
so great.
Wonderful.
So great.
Thank you so much for being on my podcast today. Thanks for bringing your energy. We could probably spend another hour of just like loving on each other, being like, absolutely. You're awesome. No, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
Really cool. But we're going to end it there. For anybody listening right now, please hit the like, subscribe, rate, review, sponsor if you would like to sponsor. This is my job. This is what I do. This is how I make money. So if you want to sponsor this podcast, you absolutely can. Also, if you are a small business and you want to sponsor this podcast, or if you're a large business or even a medium business or an extra large business or I don't know what we're doing business, please reach out to me. Let's collaborate together and cause some love in the world. So let's do it.
Sick.
All right, all of you love nerds, thank you for everyone who just tuned in to my latest episode. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you learned a lot. Again, if you like this podcast, please like it on the channel that you are watching on. If you would like to give me a review, please do. On the Anchor app, you can actually leave voice recordings for suggestions for upcoming episodes. I'm always up to hear what you would like to hear on the podcast, things that you're dealing with, things that you see, questions that you would like to have answered, or just topics that you think that people could really learn from. Please let me know, and I will set up an episode to do that. You can reach me at lovedrippingfromthewalls@gmail.com. You can also reach me on my Instagram, Love Dripping From The Walls, or Facebook, Love Dripping From The Walls. I also do one-on-one coaching. So I do one-on-one coaching, and if you would like to have a initial call, a discovery call for my one-on-one coaching, please reach out to me again at lovedrippingfromthewalls@gmail.com. Thank you all. Keep listening and keep loving. And if you're watching, keep watching.